We're joined by Governor Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, Republican presidential candidate. And, of course, check out MikeHuckabee.com. Governor, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Steve. Good to be back.
Always great to have you back. Let's talk about what the president had to say yesterday. What struck you? Did this strike you at all? Because in my mind, he was just, once again, calling ISIS. I tweeted it out as he said it. He was back to calling them a JV team.
Well, he was, Steve, and again, he downplays the threat that is posed. It's not just by ISIS, but it's posed by any element of radical Islam, a force that he can't seem to bring himself to be able to say. But I also thought it was very revealing when, in his defense of Islam, which is something he's given to do, he talked about how that the voices of criticism against Islam were unfair because it might lead to attacks on mosques and Muslims. Well, here's two things that came to me. First of all, the biggest worry in America is not that somebody's going to attack a mosque. It's that people who come out of those mosques are going to attack Americans like they did in San Bernardino and in Boston and in Little Rock and in Fort Hood. And that's what I think scares people. But the second thing, if the president would check his own FBI files, he would find that out of the 5,500 total hate crimes in the U.S., according to FBI statistics for last year, only 1,100 were religion-related, and of those, only 16% were directed toward Muslims. 58% of hate crimes related to religion were directed toward Jews.
Yep.
Steve, what he should have been talking about is, let's be more careful so that we don't end up with more hate crimes directed toward the Jewish community, who take 3 times as many hate crimes as do Muslims in America. I just don't know where he comes up with this stuff, because there's no basis in fact.
Let me ask you, of course, he gave that speech while our sailors were still in captivity at the hands of the Iranians. He did not mention it at all, yet at the same time bragged about the Iran deal. How did you view that?
Well, he shouldn't have bragged about the Iran deal. He should be embarrassed that he ever engaged in it. And no, he didn't mention it. And I'm sure he was afraid that this could turn out to be something disastrous. It was disastrous that they were captured. Thank goodness they were let go. But here's the question. Why didn't he push for the release of Pastor Saeed Abedini?
Yep.
Why didn't he push for the release of the Washington Post reporter and the 2 other Americans who are also being held hostage by the Iranians? It just seems that he's very selective in what he wants to tell the American people. He touts successes that aren't even successes, like his economic record. And I don't think he stood in the line at the layaway counter at Walmart before Christmas. Had he done so, I'm pretty sure he would have heard a different picture of the economy from folks standing there. It's embarrassing that we have had this relationship and we're about to release money to them. These people should have zero money from unfrozen assets. We should have put the screws on them more tightly. The Iranians can't be trusted.
Let's get to the race. You're in South Carolina. You got the debate tomorrow. Of course, you're on the undercard. Rand Paul decided that he's not going to participate in the undercard. Did that ever cross your mind?
No, it didn't. Look, I don't like being on the undercard. I'd rather be on the main stage. I think I should be. I think the whole process by which people are selected is utterly absurd, and I think that the networks and the RNC have manipulated this process. And in many ways, when they lament who's leading the polls, well, they created this monster, and it's very unfortunate. I think what should have happened is all of the legitimate, bona fide candidates should have had their names put on a hat. Those names drawn just before the debate. You had an equal number on both stages if you said there's too many for one stage. And so there would be a sort of an ever-changing mix of people who would be in the debates against each other.
But you haven't considered, or you never thought about going the route of Rand Paul and not showing up?
No, not at all, because, I'm trying to get my message out, and quite frankly, there's only going to be 3 of us on the undercard. We're going to have more time, get more questions, have more opportunity to speak to substantive issues than some of the folks on that other stage.
I want you to hear what Nikki Haley, I don't know if you saw her Republican response to the State of
the
Union. Okay. She was asked on the Today Show this morning, whether or not she was referring to Donald Trump when she talked about, we shouldn't follow the loudest voices on immigration. Here's what she said.
When you were talking about those loudest voices, those angriest voices, in that context, you were referring to Donald Trump, correct?
He was one of them, yes. He was one. There's other people in the media. There's people in my state. I think we're seeing it across the country. But yes, Mr. Trump has definitely contributed to what I think is just irresponsible talk.
Yeah, and Trump's not too happy about that today. Doesn't think she'd be a good fit to be his VP. What did you make of her rebuttal, which seemed to attack Republicans, even those in Congress, more so than the candidates for president, more so than the Democrats or the president?
Well, I certainly understood when she was trying to say that we all have some responsibility for the tone and tenor of campaigns and the rhetoric. I think that's fair. But I also think that her purpose was to respond to the president and be more specific in just pointing out that his comments on how great the economy is, how strong our military is, the president was making it up out of thin air because he just wasn't speaking out of reality. And I think that could have been stronger because our purpose is to say there's a real contrast. There's a difference between what the Democrats are doing and what the Republicans are doing, what they stand for, and what the results are going to be. And I do think it's important Americans to know that difference.
Did she fail at that?
I don't know that she failed. I think in many cases she's not given the full text of his comments before he makes them, so she has to prepare hers in advance. It's a tough job.
Was she right to bash the Republican frontrunner in the response to the State of the Union, as she admits she did?
I'm not sure why she needed to do that because it very well could be Donald Trump may be the nominee, and if he is, then we need to unite behind him. And the RNC has been very forceful in saying we have to all line up and agree that we're going to support the nominee and not be third-party candidates.
Right.
Well, if we're supposed to pledge loyalty to the RNC, then I have every expectation that the RNC had better pledge their support to whoever the nominee is.
Yeah, and of course it was McConnell and I almost said Boehner, but Ryan who picked Nikki Haley. You think she's going to be a VP on Trump's ticket if he wins, or anybody's ticket? No. What'd you say?
I said I'm pretty sure she won't be on Trump's ticket.
Would she be on yours?
I don't know her very well because she came into office after I had finished my 2.5 terms, so
right.
I just don't have the relationship with her that many others do.
We'll watch you on the debate. We'll speak to you soon. MikeHuckabee.com. Governor Mike Huckabee, thank you as always, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it. All right, more on the Iranian situation. Jonathan Gilliam and Paul Vallely up next on the panel. Don't go away.